Hi, I'm Vance, and welcome to Repair and Replace. If your range won't turn on, it isn't heating, and it doesn't have an active display, then it's most likely an issue with the power. In this episode, first we'll do some initial checks, then we'll test the outlet for power, and finally, we'll check the power cord for continuity. Let's get started. Before anything else, make sure that you don't have any power. Even if the display isn't working, test the clock, timer, and oven light. Also, test both the bake and broil modes. Now, test each stove element on every setting. If any of these components work, then it means that you have partial power to your range. Both the stove and oven elements require 240 volts of power, which is supplied through two separate 120-volt lines. The stove elements are on separate circuits that work independently from the control board and oven. If you have partial power to your range, then the steps for troubleshooting are a little different. You can learn more in the videos linked below. Now, if none of the settings work and there's still no power to your range, then it's best to start from the source. The breaker protects your home circuits from high currents. When the breaker trips, it will disconnect power until it's manually reset. To reset the breaker, flip it all the way off and then flip it back on again. Now, test the oven and stove elements. If the range still doesn't have power, then move on to the multimeter tests. To begin, you might need a screwdriver, a nut driver, gloves, and a multimeter. Since there might be some sharp edges, it's best to wear cut-resistant gloves. Gently pull the range slightly away from the wall. As soon as there's enough room, go in behind and unplug it from the receptacle. Make sure that there isn't too much tension on the cord. Now, slide the range all the way out so you have plenty of room to work. On the back of the oven is a cover panel. Some models have a small panel near the top and a larger panel near the bottom. Now remove the screws. The panel will likely be sitting on several hooks. Simply lift up to remove the panel. Always use caution when testing energized circuits. If you're not comfortable testing voltage, then contact a professional. The outlet can be tested to see if it's supplying the full 240 volts of electricity. There are two hot terminals, one neutral, and one ground. Set the multimeter to the volts AC setting. Test between the hot and the neutral. There should be around 120 volts. Now, test between the other hot and the neutral. There should also be around 120 volts. Now, test between both hot terminals. It should read anywhere from 220 to 240 volts. If there is no voltage when testing any of the hot terminals, then it's likely an issue with your home's wiring. In this case, it's best to get it inspected by an electrician. If the wires inside of the power cord are faulty, then it will prevent the range from receiving power. The power cord can be tested with a multimeter. A continuity test will determine if there's a continuous path for electricity to flow through. Without continuity in one of the wires, the oven will not work properly. The plug has 3 blades and 1 rounded terminal. The rounded terminal is the ground wire and will correspond to either the green or the bare copper wire. The blade across is the neutral or white wire. The other 2 blades are for the 2 hot wires, the red and the black. Set your multimeter to the ohms or resistance setting. Test between each terminal and its connection to the terminal block. If the wire is good, there should be continuity or a resistance between 0 and 1 ohm. Now repeat the test for each of the terminals. If there is no continuity or no resistance in any of the tests, then replace the power cord. You can see how to do this in the video linked below. If the power cord is good, check the wires leading from the terminal block to the control board. First, visually inspect the harness, looking for any burnt or frayed wires. If the wires look damaged, then that's likely the cause. You can also test each wire for continuity. Starting with the red wire, test from the terminal block to the control board. Now test the black wire. If either wire fails the continuity test, then you'll have to repair the wire or replace the wire harness. Align the back panel and replace the screws. Now plug in the cord and push the range back into place. Next, reconnect the power. Now you can test your oven. If this still didn't solve your problem, then check out our troubleshooting videos linked in the description below. For more troubleshooting videos on water heaters, furnaces, and appliances, then subscribe to our channel. And if you need help, you can call or visit our AMRE location to talk with our knowledgeable staff. Thanks for watching.